How are you using AI in your company right now?
Yeah. So the example I just gave with Marketing School. So Marketing School is one of the podcasts that I do. It's a daily one. And we have like 2,500, maybe close to 3,000 episodes now. I forget. But it's only 5 to 10 minutes, right? So it's not that many episodes. But at the end of the day, we're just, Neil, my podcast co-host and I, we're recording and then we have to go back to our business, right? And historically, I've always thought about, man, if someone could just be writing the content, because we talk about trendy marketing topics, if someone could just make this into blog posts for every single episode that we do, then we'd be getting a lot more organic traffic. And now we've been doing that for maybe 2-3 months or so, and it's working really well. It's maybe 60 to 70% of the AI is doing the work. So what happens there, I'll give you the workflow for a second. We record the podcast, Riverside creates an AI transcription. We take that AI transcription and we throw it into like a ChatGPT, for example, and we say, ChatGPT, convert the following into a blog post with nice headers, right? It'll make it into a blog post. We'll then take that blog post and put it into a AI detector, right? Like a duplicate content detector. We use Hugging Face. We throw it in there, 95, 96% real. Okay, cool. Human editor comes in for the last, 20% of it. They find the right facts. They fact check. They add in statistics, pictures, videos, and all that. And boom, we have all these posts now. There's no way you can even tell that it's written by an AI.
Yeah, similar experience over here. So I'm interested in this topic of using an AI duplicate detector like Hugging Face. Why is that such an important process when it comes to putting this content on your website or on your blog? Why is that such an important step?
Yeah, so some people in SEO, they get scared that if your content is duplicate, you get penalized or whatever. That's not really the case. It's more so you're just not going to get credit for it. And so if we're going to spend the time doing it, editing it and all that, at least we want to have another checkpoint that says, okay, at least this looks legit. And the other thing I'll say too is a lot of these duplicate content checkers, they're not always accurate, but at least you have another checkpoint. So
cool. So I wanted to double check on you with that, on that topic with you, because it's been my experience, it's been my understanding that it's not impacted by SEO yet, right? Your website SEO is not impacted by using the AI software yet, but things are changing all the time. As marketers, we understand that we live and die by the algorithms. Things change all the time. So if Google decided to start impacting it, you could you go from the very top of Google to the very bottom of Google overnight. That's no bueno.
Yeah, and so Google actually said this, maybe they changed their stance like a year ago. They're like, oh, you can't just do AI content. And now it's more so around, hey, as long as it helps human beings, you're good. And, obviously you can't publish 10,000 pages in a day. But at the end of the day, Mark, would you care if your house is built by robots or humans?
Whatever does it better. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Exactly, right? You and I wouldn't care, right? And probably a robot, we know our calculator does math better than us, right? And so robots are going to be better at specialized things. And so that's one instance of us using it. So I'm not too concerned about it, to answer your question directly. And then another instance of us using AI would be this concept of programmatic SEO. Have you heard of this at all?
This is a new one, which is why listen, you're hearing it here first, programmatic SEO. Give it to me, baby.
Yeah, so when I used to work at a company, let's call this 12, 13 years ago. So I was working in a large publishing company. We created a bunch of content every day, right? And I would tell our developers, so I was an SEO there, and I would say, hey, we need to create these templates of pages and make these pages at scale. And so an example of this might be, if you go to Expedia.com, it's fun things to do in Rome, best things to eat in Rome. And you have all these permutations on these travel websites, right? Like TripAdvisor.com too. And you create millions of pages that have these permutations. You're bound to get a ton of traffic, right? Now, that was very doable maybe 10, 15 years ago when you had an engineering team and a product team that was backing what you wanted to do as an SEO. But now, because of Google Bard or ChatGPT, you can now do this at scale. And so here's an example of how we're doing this at my ad agency, right? For example, we want to create agency pages based on the category. So it could be e-commerce or SaaS, for example, or Los Angeles marketing agency or something like that. We can now create a lot of these permutations. We'll create a template of a page on what we think looks good. And then we'll have the AI help assist with writing unique content, explaining what this page does. We'll put in testimonials. We'll cross-link to other things. Now, without making this sound too complicated, basically, we're just able to create a lot more pages at scale now that are helpful to people that are searching for these things. And so I don't need to try to optimize for keywords that are getting thousands and thousands of visits, maybe even 20, 50 visits a month or so. That's totally cool because I'm now doing this at scale.
Is there a particular app that you're using to create these templates for websites?
No, we're just we're skinning it ourselves internally. And then, we have our developers that we work with. And then we're just leveraging the OpenAI API to do this. And it's costing us, I believe, here's a cool thing. ChatGPT 3.5, the API calls, I believe it'll cost you like a fraction of a penny per call. And now with ChatGPT 4, it's costing us maybe like 30 cents to produce each page. So it's a lot more expensive, but it's still good.
So it's still worth it because, I mean, when I was first got into podcast production, it was costing me like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to hire people to write these blog articles, and these AI programs can write the blogs not only super well, but it turns a very average or mediocre writer into like an all-star copywriter.